The Magimix has a powerful 1100-watt motor and a large 3.6-litre capacity. It includes a top-quality Sabatier blade, and the bowl is made from the same material as aeroplane windows for extra toughness.
There's kind of like a Ferrari vibe going on there, isn't there? You know, whereas this is more like a Volvo. You know, it's like big block, thump, just does it, you know.
I've got the Kenwood Multi Pro Libra.
The housewife's choice. Really?
Kenwood's top-of-the-range Multi Pro Libra has a 1000-watt motor and a myriad of extra gadgetry, including a blender for liquidizing and an inbuilt set of scales.
You can launch a space shuttle with that. It's amazing.
Our first task was making bread, so it was on with our dough blades and in with the ingredients.
Now, also, with my built-in scales, I can tear them, which means I can put it back to 0, and then I can keep weighing more and more stuff easily.
Can you not just add up?
Yeah, but I know a bit of arithmetic.
Once we'd added the water, Si's Magimix was soon making a nice ball of dough.
I've got to tell you, boys, it's slowly happening here.
Well, King's getting dough.
But my Kenwood had developed a bit of a wobble.
I've seen dancers like that in Rio de Janeiro, haven't you?
Well, look at the Kitchenaid, it's rock steady.
Yeah.
But Dave had spoken too soon. The so-called sturdy base was running away.
200 extra. Wow. That's perfect. It's elastic. It's really good. That's good stuff.
That's pretty good. Actually, this is fine.
So, our buns were in the oven, and so far the hairy bikers have been impressed most by the Magimix. But how would their chopping abilities compare?
Wow, that is nuts.
That is brilliant.
That is brilliant.
Si's sharp slicing disc made short work of his veg.
I love this machine.
And Dave's Kitchenaid wasn't far behind.
Oh, not bad.
Ooh. The Kitchenaid and the Magimix both have wide feeding tubes, big enough for 2 potatoes. But frustratingly, mine couldn't even cope with a small onion. So, back to the old-school method for me. And despite its variable speed settings, it still needed a helping hand.
Ah! Right, let's see what it's done to these.
It's kind of quite mushy, though, isn't it?
It is, look at that.
Where the blade hasn't been cut and clean.
As this
is as well.
Yeah.
But look at that one. It's absolutely clean as a whistle.
That's turned chopping veg into a work of art, isn't it?
Yeah.
And there's very, very little. Look at how clean the blade is as well. It just does the job really effectively.
So, the Magimix had impressed again. On to our third test, processing the soup. Each processor has a mixing blade for pureeing. But my Kenwood also has a dedicated liquidizer.
Well done, John.
Suddenly, the Kitchenaid wasn't looking so stylish.
It's all coming out.
Oh, look, it's leaking like Mary Diddley.
No. All I can say is the lid is on properly.
Put the lid on. This turns it from a centrifuge into a vortex.
No, really?
Yeah. A centrifugal action pushes the food to the outside of the blender as it spins, but a vortex pulls it into the blade, meaning it should give a smoother blend.
Right, let's have a look in here.
And I was pleased to see there were no leaks, other than the vegetable variety. Would the Magimix do as good a job?
It's leaking.
Oh, man! Look at that.
I'm very, very surprised.
I am very surprised, actually. Very surprised and slightly disappointed.
With our meal complete, it was time for the final verdict.
So, the big question is, which out of the 3 would you prefer, Dave?
I think I would prefer the Magimix because I think the way it cut the food up, the speed of it, the build of it, it was fantastic.
So, Si, your own preferences?
The Magimix for me. It did its job very well. It has great blades. But for me, I just like to buy one thing that's going to do a job for a very long time.
I mean, I think I'd go with the Magimix too. I mean, it's a really professional bit of kit, really. I know it leaks, but I suppose you just have to clean up afterwards.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Good lad. Here we are, then.
That'll be us, the pub. See ya.
See you later.
They're good, those hairy biker fellows, aren't they?
Very canny in the kitchen.
I should hope so. Right, take us through the G's, then.
Yeah, 3 Gs for the Kenwood. It wasn't as polished as the other 2, but it's very good value for money and did come with all those extra facilities, like the liquidizer, which was very useful with the soup.
OK, so 3 Gs for the Kenwood. What about the Kitchenaid?
Also 3 Gs for the Kitchenaid. It was better at chopping, but it is more expensive and doesn't have so many facilities.
And I suppose the styling is quite personal to your kitchen
Yes,
as well,
love it
isn't
or hate it, isn't it? I mean, if you like that sort of 1950s American look, could be for you. Otherwise, you just might run a mile.
3 Gs for that. What about the Magimix?
Well, 4 Gs for the Magimix. It would have been 5 if it hadn't been inconsonant with the soup. But, I mean, in fairness, a lot of food processors of that kind do tend to leak a bit, so one shouldn't be too harsh about that, though it did do it spectacularly. On the other hand, it was the most professional of the three by a huge margin in terms of its chopping.
OK, so the Gadget Show's favourite food processor is the Magimix.